Hi, my name is Cynthia Wade. I'm the founder and managing director at DoOver.me. We're a 6.5-year-old not-for-profit that provides our services virtually and on a sliding scale to anyone who's seeking meaningful employment. What we're doing is providing you with proven, practical, and professional support in exactly where you need it in order to be able to find the job of your dreams. And yes, it is possible. Even in the time of COVID, you deserve to find the job of your dreams. Now, it's not always going to be easy and it's not always going to be fast, but I guarantee you that if you stick with us, it will happen. You can learn more about DoOver.me by visiting our website, which is simply do-over.me, or by shooting us an email at info@doover.me, or by giving us a call. Pick up the phone, 630-402-0429. Either way, let us tell you about all of the amazing things that we can offer you that are going to help you move forward to the job of your dreams. Today, we're picking up on our topic of the month, which is strengths, and one of my absolute favorite topics, and talking about how to bring your strengths with you into the interview. So, if you go back and take a look at the things that we've recorded already this month, you're going to start to learn a little bit about what a strength is. A strength is something that you are so innately good at that you don't even realize sometimes that you're doing it. It's really hard for us to recognize our own strengths, but they're there. Everybody has them. It's what makes us so unique. And if you can tap into the power of your strengths in order to be able to understand and harness their power, you can take that into your work situation and you will find your edge and success in the office place. So let's talk about strengths. Where do they come from and what do we know about them? So I've been studying strengths for pretty much as long as I've been in business. And it started out many years ago with a guy by the name of Don Clifton. And he came up with this idea that everybody has different strengths. And he worked with different people to put together an assessment that was going to divide all of our strengths into 34 different categories. He worked with a young man by the name of Marcus Buckingham to help him to identify what those 34 strengths meant, to put them in domains, and then to talk about how they worked with each other. A very short while after they started, they sold their company, RSI, to, actually they didn't sell it, they bought Gallup, the Gallup organization, and they continued to brand the Strengths Finders under the Gallup name, which is how you know it today, Gallup Strengths Finders. But it was originally conceived by Don Clifton and his young colleague, Marcus Buckingham. They worked together for a long while, and after some time, Marcus left the company and started his own business. And now he is going out and doing something very, very similar, but a little bit different. And now he has partnered with the ADP organization. And so he's doing his work with the Marcus Buckingham Company and the ADP organization. You're going to want to look for anything that says Gallup on it, anything that says Strengths Finders on it, anything that says Marcus Buckingham. There's books and there's videos and there's YouTube tutorials and there's interviews and podcasts and just tons of information that are going to tell you what your strengths are and then how to harness them and how to use them. And what we're going to be talking about this entire month is all of those different things. So the last time we talked about how to take those strengths and put them on your resume. And if you remember, one of the things that I told you the last time is your takeaway was to start today making strengths statements and capturing them, because added together, your strengths statements will tell your story. And that's what you want to bring into the interview with you. So once you've had an opportunity to understand what your strengths are and how to use them successfully, then the next step in the process is to be able to learn how to tell the stories with them using the language of your strengths. This is where you're going to have to do a little bit of research, because it's easy. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3, but you still have to do a little bit of work, okay? So the first thing I'm telling you is that once you understand and know how to use your strengths, the first thing you're going to do is learn how to put all those strength statements together into your story. And when you write first and then ultimately tell your story, you're going to want to do it in the language of your strengths. So you have to do some research and you have to find out what are the words and the phrases that are unique to your strengths and to your themes, so that those are the words that you're going to be able to use when you tell your story. You're also going to want to, number 2, follow the traditional story arc. So you're going to have a beginning, a middle, and an end to the story, and you're going to want the story to climax at the end of the second piece. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be able to tell what we call a car story. A car story or a car statement is a challenge, an action, and a result. And that action is the pinnacle. That's what should be happening at the end of the second part of the story. And then the result. So what happens is when you're in an interview situation, you're listening to the other person talk about what they're wanting, what they're needing, what their pain points are, and you're thinking about what kinds of things that you've done in the past that are going to showcase your strengths and show this person that you can do exactly what it is that they need to have done. And then you tell that story. You tell that story, as I said, number 1, using the language of your strengths, and number 2, following that story arc so that the high point is at the end of the second act. And then you're going to close it by bringing your energy and your enthusiasm into the interview and asking for the opportunity to get the job. You're always going to want to use the acronyms that are common to your industry, and you're always going to want to be able to follow it up with concrete examples, those car statements, in that right language that I talked about. So the 3 things that you need to do here now, as I said, number 1 is to tell your story using those strength statements, those words and phrases in the story arc, and using the acronyms of your industry. The second thing you want to do is, in order to be able to tell that story as effectively as possible, you want to be able to use all the different tools that Gallup and Marcus Buckingham have given you in order to be able to learn the most about yourself. So there's the Strengths Insight Report from Gallup. There's Gallup Theme Thursday podcast. There's the Standout Snapshot from Marcus Buckingham and the Personal Learning Challenge. If you make yourself a student of all of those different things, then you're going to have the most information that you need in order to be able to tell that story as effectively as possible. And then the third thing, you're going to have to practice. You're going to practice and practice, not just writing it out, but speaking it out loud. Because when you go into an interview, you're not reading something that's written on a paper. You're having an active live dialogue with someone. And you need to know how to react in that moment orally and from the right triggers. So triggers are really important to understand. What are the triggers, the words, or the things that people are going to ask you in order to be able to trigger that kind of a response from you? And bang, if you practice it enough, you're going to be able to spit out that response as quickly as possible because it's going to be top of mind. You're not going to necessarily have it memorized because you don't want to sound like you're just repeating information that you memorized, but you do want it to sound like it's been something that's been percolating inside of your head. And that's why practicing it by saying it out loud in lots of different situations is what's going to allow you to ace it when you get in the interview situation. So does that make sense? In order to bring your strengths successfully into the interview, now we're assuming that you already know what your strengths are and that you know how you're actively using them in your day-to-day situation. And then you're going to tell the story in the language of your strengths, using the story arc and putting the climax at the top, and using the acronyms in your industry. You're going to use all the tools that Gallup and Marcus Buckingham make available to you to make sure that that story is as rich and as reflective of your particular strengths as possible. And then you're going to practice. Number 3, practice. Practice, practice, practice as many times as you need to in order to make sure everything is the top of mind and it's going to come off the top of your head easily and quickly. Now, couple of things that I want to add to you to tell you tonight is that number 1, I want to make sure that you get your takeaway here. Your takeaway for tonight is that you need to actively start practicing presentation skills. The only way people get good at interviews and networking too, for that matter, is by practicing presentation skills. And you can do that by joining a Toastmasters group or by joining a business-only improv group. So I want you to take a minute after you get off this presentation to look at our website and look at the 2 opportunities coming up next week. One is on Monday the 14th, and one is on, I think it would be Thursday the 17th. One is for an online fun and games opportunity on Monday the 14th at 4 o'clock, and the other is for Risky Business, which is an online fun and games improv group on Thursday the 17th. Both are free. Both are offered here through doover.me, and both of those are presentation opportunities for you to practice, practice, practice so that you're going to get better when you're in the interview situation. So, does that make sense? Today is a day about talking about bringing these strengths into the interview. If you can remember the 3 things I told you to do and the 1 takeaway, you're going to get better in your interviews and you're going to get to the point where you're going to be able to get those offers. So what are the things again? Number 1, learn to tell your story in the language of your strengths using that story arc format and the acronyms of your industry to tell the story. Number 2, use all the tools that are available to you that Gallup and Marcus Buckingham Company make available to you to learn as much as you can about your strengths. And then number 3, to practice it out loud as many times as you can to make sure it's top of mind. And your takeaway? Join an improv group. Join a Toastmasters group. We have them both here at doover.me, and we can get you started right away. And that means that the next time you go on that interview, you're going to ace it and you're going to get the job. Again, I'm Cynthia Wade. I'm the founder and managing director here at DoOver.me, and we're glad you joined us this afternoon. Check out our website, DoOver.me, and look for what's coming up the rest of this week and next week that we're going to have available to teach you and help you grow into using and understanding your strengths. Thanks a lot.